Before Led Zeppelin became a force of nature, there was a young Jimmy Page, a quiet, curious session musician in London who was obsessed with learning everything he could about the guitar. Some guitarists simply play notes. Jimmy Page summoned storms. He didn't just master the instrument, he bent it to his will. He made it weep, scream, and whisper its deepest secrets. But before the legend, before the thunder of Whole Lotta Love and Kashmir, there was a boy with a hunger to learn. Even as a kid, Page was mesmerized by the sound of the guitar. He soaked up every style, every technique, every fleeting moment of sound that came his way. The myth often forgets this side of him. He wasn't born a musical genius overnight. He was a student first, a collector of ideas, a man who believed that true innovation comes only after you've mastered the foundations. While others chased fame, Page chased knowledge. He spent endless hours in studios, quietly watching, learning, and absorbing magic from every record that passed through his hands. Those sessions became his education. But among the thousands of records he touched, 7 stood apart. 7 albums that didn't just inspire him, they rewired him. These were the records that showed him what a guitar could become, how emotion could sound, and what true musical power really meant. He didn't copy them, he devoured them. He studied them, digested their essence, and created something entirely his own. These weren't casual listens, they were blueprints for revolution. So let's dive in. Here are the 7 albums that shaped Jimmy Page. 7. Blues After Hours, 1960. The first spark came from Elmore James. His slide guitar on Blues After Hours wasn't just sound, it was emotion turned into electricity. This wasn't polished or pretty, it was raw, unfiltered, and full of danger. For a young Jimmy Page, it was a door to a new world, one filled with passion, pain, and power. Elmore James didn't play the blues, he lived them. Songs like Dust My Broom, The Sky Is Crying, and Standing at the Crossroads hit Page like lightning. The way James used his slide wasn't smooth or elegant. It was jagged, rough, real. Page realized you didn't need 1,000 notes to say something powerful. You only needed 3 that came straight from the heart. From Elmore, Page learned that distortion wasn't a flaw, it was a language. Feedback could be beautiful. Imperfection could be perfection. Elmore taught me that the guitar could speak, Page once said. From that day on, his guitar stopped being just wooden strings. It became his voice, his confession, his weapon. Blues After Hours wasn't just an album. It was an awakening. 6. 3 Ragas, 1956. Now this one surprised everyone. While most young guitarists were idolizing Chuck Berry and Elvis, Jimmy Page was sitting in his London flat listening to a sitar master from India, Ravi Shankar. 3 Ragas had nothing to do with rock and roll, and that's exactly why it mattered. Shankar's music didn't follow Western structure. It breathed, it stretched, it meditated. Each raga was a journey with no verses or choruses, just exploration. Page realized something profound. Music didn't have to follow rules. That idea became the heartbeat of his later work. You can hear it in Dazed and Confused in Kashmir, in every long, winding section where Zeppelin's sound feels hypnotic and timeless. Shankar taught him that true freedom in music comes from deep discipline. That to break rules, you must first understand them. Shankar showed me that music could be hypnotic, Page reflected. That trance-like quality became his obsession, crafting songs that could make listeners lose all sense of time. 5. Live at the Regal, 1965. When Jimmy Page first heard Live at the Regal, he thought he knew the blues. Then B.B. King walked on stage in Chicago and changed everything. This wasn't a flashy performance. It was a masterclass in restraint and control. B.B. didn't show off. He whispered. Each note had air, space, emotion. His guitar sang. Songs like Every Day I Have the Blues and Sweet Little Angel taught Page that sometimes less really is more. One note, perfectly bent, perfectly timed, could move an audience more than 100 played in haste. King showed him that silence is as important as sound, that the pause between notes gives the next one power. B.B. taught me when not to play, Page said years later. You can hear that lesson all over Led Zeppelin's catalog, in the aching patience of Since I've Been Loving You, in the careful tension of 10 Years Gone. Live at the Regal wasn't just a concert. It was a sermon on the beauty of self-control. 4. Morning in the Morning, 1969. Otis Rush played the guitar left-handed, strung upside down. What should have been a limitation became his strength. When Morning in the Morning came out, Page was already famous, but this album hit him deep. Rush didn't just play guitar, he pleaded through it. His notes bled into one another, jagged, but full of soul. Songs like All Your Love and So Many Roads reminded Page that perfection isn't the goal, honesty is. Rush's tone was dark, smooth, and full of emotion. He wasn't chasing precision, he was chasing truth. His playing felt alive, unpredictable, human. Page learned that music wasn't about flawless technique, it was about feeling something real. Otis taught him that the guitar is an extension of the nervous system. Every tremor, every emotion runs through it. That lesson stayed with Page forever. 3. Truth, 1968. This one was personal. Jeff Beck was Page's peer, his friend, and sometimes his rival. When Jeff Beck released Truth, Page knew the bar had just been raised. This wasn't ordinary blues rock. It was darker, heavier, meaner. Shapes of Things, You Shook Me, I Ain't Superstitious, every track hit like a hammer. Beck's tone was thick, aggressive, and fearless. Page listened closely and realized this was a challenge. Beck had taken blues and turned it into something monstrous, proto-metal before the term even existed. He respected that. Truth made me want to make something heavier, he admitted later. Within a year, Led Zeppelin's debut would arrive, and the rest is history. 2. Folk Singer, 1964. Then came Folk Singer by Muddy Waters, the king of Chicago blues, stripped bare. No amplifiers, no band, just Muddy, his guitar, and his truth. Songs like My Home is in the Delta and Good Morning Little Schoolgirl showed Page that blues didn't need electricity to have power. It just needed soul. Every crack in Muddy's voice carried decades of pain and wisdom. Page realized that at its core, music is about storytelling, not effects, not flash, just emotion. Muddy showed me that the song is what matters, Page once said. That idea shaped every acoustic Zeppelin moment, from Going to California to That's the Way. And finally, the album that started it all, Howling Wolf's Moaning in the Moonlight, 1959. When Page first heard it, it scared him, in the best way. Wolf's voice wasn't human, it was thunder wrapped in flesh. Songs like Smokestack Lightning and How Many More Years were primal, wild, alive. Behind Wolf, guitarist Hubert Sumlin played with precision and danger. His riffs were sharp, his restraint surgical. That interplay between voice and guitar became Page's blueprint for Zeppelin. Power, tension, and release. Howling Wolf changed what I thought was possible, Page later said. From that moment, he didn't just want to play music. He wanted to summon storms.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.